Hello, I'm Joyce Ohaja and I'm here with Simon London, Head of Original Programmes and Content at Yanga TV. Simon has had a diverse career as a journalist with both the Daily Mirror and The Sun, a presenter on BBC One before moving into production, working with the likes of Dick and Dom, Graham Norton and the late, great Bruce Forsyth. Those have all been obviously very mainstream pursuits. So what is it like to now be working for a startup and one aimed at Africans? Welcome, Simon.
Thanks very much, Joyce.
So tell us about this latest venture for you, Yanga TV.
Okay, so as you said, my title is Head of Original Programming and Content. So on any sort of TV channel, there's a certain amount of acquisitions, bought programming, and then there's the original programming, the programming we make in-house in the studio that we have here at Chiswick Park. And so I'm in charge of that original programming, and then it's across genres. So I'm doing some comedy, I'm doing some current affairs, doing a bit of news, I'm doing a daily women's chat show, and I'm doing a couple of political shows as well.
And we've seen a lot of African TV channels over the years, and they've not been that successful. So what is it that you're going to do that will be different?
Well, I hope that my philosophy is make it look good. So it's about having high production values on the digital budgets. And as we know, once you get off that mainstream TV sort of merry-go-round, the budgets are small, they're tiny, but there's no reason that we can't have those same sort of production values. And I say that not in a monetary way, but in the philosophy we take to our shows and our professionalism and the way that we want to make those shows and produce those shows.
But surely the quality can't be the same. If you've got a £30,000 budget and a £5,000 budget, I don't know what the budget is, but you can't possibly make the same kind of quality program.
No, and I think that sometimes you can look under the bonnet and see that the workings inside, it doesn't have the same, is not to the same standard as it would be on sort of those mainstream channels. But if they're watching a TV show and it looks great, they're prepared to stay with it longer and give it a chance. Whereas if the production values are terrible and it looks shoddy, the sound is terrible, the camera work is bad, you know, it's badly lit and the people on it don't know their stuff, then that's what I'm talking about with production values, the whole thing.
You talked about production values, that being a big difference.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious as to what the main difference is from going from a mainstream big budget environment to a relatively small budget.
I would say it's the people you work with. If you have a lot of experienced people who've been working in television for a long time, they cost a certain amount of money. So the first place you go to is young people who want to come through. There's I think when I was at university, I'm going to sound like some sort of old man now, but there weren't media courses. You couldn't go and learn about TV. You couldn't do that. There's a lot of that now. It's more of a meritocracy, is that the word? So there are people out there who know how to make great content at a much lower price point. And those are the people that we go and look for, and those are the people that we kind of invite in, we train up. Because of the lack of experience, they're cheaper to get. So yes, it's a fine line, I think, between getting people in who are going to learn and are going to benefit from that, and exploiting young people, and hopefully that's not what we do.
At the end of the day, it is all about money, and it's about getting advertisers in. Are they buying into what you're doing? Are they buying into your product?
I think when they see what we're doing, then they like it and they want to be involved. There's a competitive set. There are 4 or 5 other African channels that we've got to compete against. So it's an uphill struggle. But as I say, if you've got quality and you're pushing out quality product out there, hopefully people come to you.
And you said you're competing against all these other African channels. Now, your background isn't African, and you've never worked in African media before, so no. This is quite a difficult thing for you to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's challenging, and one of the things that I would say is, we talked about my CV before. I worked in newspapers. I was a daily TV critic, a daily columnist for the Mirror, and then I worked on screen myself, like yourself, in front of camera, and then I've worked behind camera. I think that once you've got those skills that can be transitioned, it's all about taking those into a new challenge. If I was working on something which I was just churning out the same thing over and over again, I wouldn't feel challenged by that. I would get bored really quickly. What I love about this is you've got to remember, I've been working in television since the sort of mid-90s.
Yeah.
You know, there weren't a lot of black faces around. This is great to be working with so many black faces, and also in our control room and elsewhere within the department, we have a really diverse workforce, and it's great. It's really, really good. You're learning a lot from different people, and that's what I'm enjoying.
Yeah, and I think the media landscape has changed, and do you think perhaps that the time is now that the public is ready for a different style of African media?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's still difficult. Life is much easier when you've got a Caucasian sounding name. You know, I do realise that sort of I went for interviews sometimes and people would go, oh, wow, you're Simon London.
Simon.
Okay,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah.
we can do this. Sit down, let's have a chat.
Yeah,
you
they
know.
don't do that to me.
But it's getting easier. I still think that, you know, minorities in media have to work harder. They, in some ways, they have to be better than their sort of white counterparts. You can take that as a negative thing, or you can take it as a challenge and say that's what we have to do. There's a lot of initiatives, and people are doing a lot of nodding in the right direction and saying, yeah, this is a good thing. Hey, we've got one of those in the office.
Yeah.
So that's going on.
Yeah.
But hey, you've got to start somewhere, and it would be churlish of me to go, it's just a box ticking exercise. I think there's more to it than that.
What's next? What are your plans for taking it to the next level?
It would be great to have an idea that originated at Yanga TV that you might see on Swedish television, or I'd love to be in Australia and turn on the TV and see one of our shows or a format from one of our shows. So I think we've got to have global ambitions and sort of be aiming for the stars, and if we land on the moon, we're doing all right.
Simon, thank you so much. I wish you lots of good luck with your latest venture, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.